In 2013, archaeologists opened a sealed cave on Egypt's Red Sea coast and found the oldest written paper on Earth. It was a work logbook, 4,500 years old, signed by a man who helped build the Great Pyramid. His name was Mera, and his diary quietly destroys almost everything we were taught about how the pyramid was built. For centuries, the story was simple. 100,000 slaves whipped through the desert, dragging stones until they died. That version came from the Greek historian Herodotus, who visited Egypt 2,000 years after the pyramid was already ancient. He was repeating tour guide gossip. The real evidence lay buried under the sand, waiting 45 centuries to be found. The Great Pyramid contains roughly 2.3 million blocks of stone, stacked into the tallest structure humans had ever raised. Blocks of 2.5 tons had to be quarried, moved, and lifted into the sky without a single modern machine. So how do you actually do that? Not in legend, but in shipping logs, bread ovens, and one man's handwriting. The answer starts with what Mera wrote down, day by day, in the 26th year of Pharaoh Khufu's reign. Mera was no slave. He was an inspector, a mid-level official commanding a crew of about 200 skilled workers. His team's job that season was moving fine white limestone from the quarries of Tura to the construction site at Giza. That gleaming stone was the casing, the polished outer layer that once covered the entire pyramid. And here is the detail that changes everything. Mera's crew did not drag that stone across the desert. They sailed it. His logbook records boat run after boat run, hauling stone by water and delivering it close to the foot of the pyramid. Read that again. Cargo boats, docking beside a pyramid that today stands in bone-dry desert, miles from the Nile. Mera also wrote down his boss's name, Ankhaf, half-brother of the pharaoh himself, the project manager of the Great Pyramid. That single line made Ankhaf the first person in history we can definitively name as running the pyramid's construction. This was not a mob of slaves, it was an organized state project with managers, schedules, shipping logs, and supply chains. But the diary leaves a puzzle. Boats need water, so where was the river that carried Mera's stone? In 2024, scientists found the answer buried under farmland and sand, an entire lost branch of the Nile. They named it the Ahramat Branch, Arabic for pyramids, a waterway 64 kilometers long that has vanished from the map. In Khufu's time, it ran 200 to 700 meters wide, flowing right along the edge of the Giza Plateau. And it did not serve Giza alone. 31 pyramids line the course of this one lost river, like beads on a string. That solves a mystery hiding in plain sight, the stone causeways running from the pyramids toward what looked like empty desert. They end at valley temples that were never just temples. They were river harbours, built at the water's edge. At Giza itself, engineers dug canals and basins, letting barges deliver stone practically to the foot of the construction site. The desert we see today is a trick of time. The builders worked beside water in a living river port. So the river carried millions of tons of stone to the base of the pyramid. Then the river's job ended, because water cannot climb. Every block now had to rise, tier by tier, toward the sky, and that problem nearly defeats imagination. In 2018, at an ancient quarry called Hatnub, archaeologists uncovered a ramp that had waited 4,500 years. It climbed at more than 20%, a slope far steeper than anyone had thought workable for hauling heavy stone. Stairways lined with rows of post holes flank the ramp, hinting at how crews could anchor their ropes along the climb. Workers may have used those ropes and wooden posts to pull limestone blocks upward, step by step, against the steep grade. The ramp belongs to the same civilization and the same era as Khufu's pyramid. A real clue, not a legend. But a clue is not proof. It shows what these builders could do, not what they actually did at Giza itself. What the ramps at Giza actually looked like, honestly, is exactly where the evidence ends and the theories begin. The theories range from enormous external ramps to one unproven hypothesis by French architect Jean-Pierre Houdin, a ramp spiraling inside the pyramid. In that model, open notches at the corners left room where each heavy block could be turned before it climbed onward. Whatever design those ramps followed, they ran on human muscle, and muscle runs on bread. Feeding this project was its own mega-project. In 1988, archaeologist Mark Lehner started digging southeast of the pyramids and found something no legend ever mentioned: a city. Heit el-Ghurab was a purpose-built workers' town raised in the pyramid's shadow, with food production running on an industrial scale. Its bakeries could turn out thousands of loaves of bread every single day, beside a plant for processing fish. Do the math those ovens imply. Lehner estimates 10,000 stoneworkers and 20,000 to 30,000 people once support crews are counted. Slaves do not get logistics like this. And the strongest proof came from the workers' own graves, found nearby. The builders were buried in the shadow of the monument they raised, an honoured place no disposable labourer would have been given. Their tombs held jars of beer and loaves of bread, wages for the afterlife, packed by people who valued them. DNA from the builders' skeletons confirmed it. These were native Egyptians, skilled crews, not foreign captives, worked to death. The pyramid, it turns out, was not built by cruelty. It was built by organization, perhaps the finest the ancient world ever produced. Which leaves one last question. After all these discoveries, is the Great Pyramid finally out of secrets? Far from it. Scans have revealed a hidden corridor 30 meters long, sealed inside Khufu's pyramid, untouched for thousands of years. Robots have reached openings no human hand could touch, and Egypt's most famous archaeologist, Zahi Hawass, is teasing a reveal. He calls what is coming a new chapter in the history of the pharaohs, and the announcement is promised for this very year. And one small mystery remains from where our story began. Why was Mera's diary abandoned in a cave by the Red Sea? The likely answer is that the crew's last assignment simply ended. Pharaoh Khufu had died, and everything stopped. The workers sealed their storage galleries, set down their records, and walked away, leaving the paperwork of eternity behind. 45 centuries later, that abandoned logbook did what no treasure could. It gave the pyramid builders back their names. The Great Pyramid was really built by rivers and ramps, bread and beer, and tens of thousands of people proud of the work. Not a miracle, and not aliens, something rarer. Ordinary human beings, organized to the edge of perfection. Somewhere inside, a sealed corridor is still waiting. When it opens, we will be watching. The next story starts there.